Hello. The goal of this series is one thing: to help you take compelling photos and minimize some of the mistakes and mishaps that I have made. It's not about your camera equipment. It's about an approach to underwater photography. Effort that begins before the dive trip, in between dives, during the dive trip, and after the dive trip. We're talking about 10 steps, and right now we are at step 7, etiquette. Safety always comes first, as we mentioned the first time. Take care of yourself, your dive buddy, and the dive group. That's top priority. In addition, always respect the marine life. You should never touch an animal, and we have to be careful not to damage the reef or the coral. And also, learn when to stop. We talked about working the subject. We also do not want to stress out the animal. Sometimes we might have a cooperative subject, but after a certain amount of time, you might say, that's enough. Let's let this poor animal go away, and we'll move on to another subject. Let me show you a few examples. We talked earlier about how subject selection is so important. Finding an animal that one can approach, that has a good negative background, where we can compose a good picture. On top of this, we have to select a subject where we're not going to damage the reef. I found this darkly colored, dark red seahorse, but it was buried in coral. I waited a little while. I tried to see if it would swim out, if I could get any kind of an angle to take a picture, and I ended up taking a snapshot and moving on. There was no way I would get a picture of this animal without either stressing it out or damaging the coral reef, or both. Similar to this condition, this small attractive balloon fish on a night dive just looked so wonderful, and I would have loved to take some close-up pictures of the fish and its eye, but it was hiding in between all of these coral. I spent some time waiting, taking pictures of adjacent rocks and coral or other fish to see if it might come out and be curious. It did not. I took a snapshot and moved on. When you're waiting in a group, we were in Roatan. I was number 6 out of about 8 divers taking a picture of a beautiful yellow seahorse that the dive guide had found. Everyone took 2 or 3 shots. This is one case where you don't want to overwork the animal. Take a few shots and move on. Be respectful to other people in the dive group. The person 2 ahead of me must have taken 30 or 40 shots of this poor animal. By the time I got to it, the coral was bent. The animal itself was almost laying on its side. I was so saddened I took one snapshot and moved on. Also, when you are in a group and you're taking a shot, don't at the end put your hand in the sand or kick your fin and stir up a bunch of backscatter to get your shots and then leave the subject in a cloud of smoke for your other fellow divers to take a picture of. That's just rude. Here's some examples of a nice, wonderful condition. This is again at the Blue Huron Bridge, sandy bottom. You can lay on the bottom. You have a cooperative subject, this little batfish looking right at you, and you can end up with a nice shot just like that. I was able to approach this stingray with my dive buddy behind it. I got a nice portrait shot of both the dive buddy and the stingray with just a simple point and shoot camera in available light using a wide angle lens attachment. This little camera right here, available light, nothing fancy. Here's an example of a nice photographic opportunity. This was a beautiful lobster on a ledge where my dive buddy could get behind it. I didn't have to damage any coral or anything. Here's a nice Christmas tree worm on a ledge where I did not have to worry about damaging any coral. I could get right up to it and take a shot with a nice blue water background. One other thing, when you're on the boat, I usually dive with my compact camera and wide-angle lens and my Ike housing with my SLR camera inside. Of course, I have a wet lens, I have a lens and dome port, some strobes. You know, this equipment can be pretty extensive, okay? Don't act like a bozo with your equipment, okay? I keep my equipment off to the side, put a little towel over it, and don't even pay any attention to it until I'm getting ready to hop in the water, okay? When you come out of the water, if there's other cameras in the rinse tank, don't take all your stuff and just throw it in the rinse tank on top of all the other cameras. Be respectful. So to summarize, safety always comes first. Respect all of marine life and the reef. Try to never touch an animal or damage any coral. And don't be an annoying photographer. This is the end of this series, number 7, Etiquette. We're going to start with the next one, number 8, make the best out of each dive situation. And you can download this entire outline for free on my website, www.theaquaticeye.com. Thank you.